adventure in Puntland on W4CY Radio.
On a short trip we made a landing and we were strangers in town. How they stared as we made our exit. We'll wind the road round. Dr. Livingston, where are you? When we need you the most. We're white as ivory here on the Ivory Coast.
This is the Pipe Man here on the Adventures of Pipe Man W4CY Radio. And I'm very excited about our next guest because I've been a fan of theirs for decades. And some really cool new stuff going on. So let's welcome to the show Jimmy from Alcatrazz. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Good to be here.
I'm doing great. My first question is, how do you guys always get such amazing musicians throughout the decades?
It happens organically. We don't audition people. It just kind of people we know, people that know people kind of thing. And word of mouth, somebody will say, oh, I heard Alcatrazz is looking for somebody, whatever. But typically they're friends of friends, or like Joe Stump, for instance. We started working with him years ago. Joe, I knew about Joe. I didn't know Joe, but I knew about Joe, and I didn't know what he was doing. And then went on and searched and looked and found out, his information, emailed him, and we talked immediately. I was in California at the time. He was in New York. We talked, and in 5 minutes, you could tell he was a great guy. And he said, yeah, I'll come out. We'll play. So I think he came out the next week, and he walked in the room, and we just counted the songs off and played.
Wow.
There was no talk. There was no rehearsal. Oh, well, let's work on this one. Oh, this is the way we do this. He just played. So that was a real organic thing. That just, worked out great. Drummers, we did audition Mark Bankachea for the Grand Bonnet Band, actually. And we auditioned him, and then we just kept working with him. I loved Mark, loved his drumming. He just couldn't tour anymore. So,
yeah, it's tough when we start getting on in years, right?
Yeah, I think that, and Mark was faced with he had an amazing job. He lives in LA. He had an amazing job, and he was getting time off work, no problem. And then they clamped down and just said, you can't do that anymore. He had to make a decision, and he just, didn't make sense. So Giles was the manager of the Grand Bonnet Band. And I knew Giles and I were friends from way back. And then we would do sound checks in the Grand Bonnet Band when we'd be touring, and Graham wasn't there most of the time for sound check. So Giles would sing it.
Wow.
He would come up and sing so we could get our monitors together and stuff. And he was killing the stuff. I mean, just, singing the shit out of it. So when the time came, we got Doogie, and Doogie was great, but Doogie had to move on. He was doing his own thing. And so Giles was the obvious choice, really. There was no auditions or looking around. It was like, he was the obvious choice. So that's how that happened.
I love stories like that, though, because it's like that's how you really get discover gold. Sometimes it's just a mistake or something happens or fill in. Like I know a bunch of techs, like guitar and drum techs, that end up in the band because they know all the songs, like so they can take over in a heartbeat.
Well, it's like Elwood from ZZ Top. Elwood was Steve Vai's guitar tech for a while, and he would come out to rehearsal and we worked together, and I knew Elwood from years ago. And then I hear, oh, he's got a gig with ZZ Top. He's a guitar tech for ZZ Top and a bass tech. And I thought, oh, that's cool. And then he ended up playing bass. So
amazing.
He just fits right in with those guys. So yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, you know, Ozzy just passed away recently, but same type of thing. It's like all of a sudden, like Randy, I think he was just tuning his guitar and Ozzy was like, you're hired, you know, type of thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it happens, I think, organically, that makes bands like yours, artists like Ozzy, that just stand the test of time.
Yeah, I mean, Alcatrazz, for the second album, we did audition a couple of people for guitar after Yngwie left.
Yeah.
Auditioned Steve Vai. Sounds funny saying we auditioned. It was.
I know, right?
I talked a few times, and he said, yeah, he didn't want to play the Yngwie stuff. He said, I'll play it, but he says, I don't play like that. I can't play that stuff, which is crazy. He can, but we did audition him, and I knew in 30 seconds the guy was just so aggressive and was tearing the strings off the guitar.
Yeah.
And we auditioned Chris and Pelletieri, and Chris was amazing, just crazy amazing. He played the Yngwie stuff pretty much note for note. We were just looking to get away from that at the time. We didn't want to follow up with somebody that played like that. So, and Steve didn't. Steve could play what was needed for the older No Parole stuff, but he was Steve Vai. And like I said, I just loved him because he was so aggressive with the guitar and so inventive, and he just kind of went nuts on stage, which I loved. I thought it was great. That's
important. I think, you know, it's one thing to be a great musician. It's another thing to be a great musician on stage.
Huge difference. I call them bedroom guitar players. People go, man, you should see this guy. He can play the Yngwie stuff note for note, or the Steve Vai stuff, whatever. And you look at the video, he's in his bedroom.
Right.
Perfect conditions, you know, and he's playing to a track, and he's playing great. But like I called we were looking for a guitar player at one point, and I called my friend Stig Matheson, who's an incredible guitar player. He was teaching. He was head of the guitar department at MI in LA, Musicians Institute. So I called up Stig. I said, Stig, we need a guitar player. And Stig said, well, I've got a bunch of guys here that can play all that stuff note for note, and none of them would have a clue how to tour, or they wouldn't be good band members. He goes, yeah, they've just sat at home learning this stuff note for note. But any other songs, at the time we were playing Michael Schenker stuff, Chris and Pelletieri songs, you know, in the Grand Bonnet Band. And so the guy had to be an all-around musician. He couldn't just be an Yngwie clone, you know. So
right.
So Steve says, you know, I've got guys. I'll give you a name, but it won't do you any good because none of them would be able to get on a bus or a van and know what to do. They'd get on stage and they'd be just a fish out of water. So I didn't find anybody that way.
And you're right too. Like what happens on stage, like you have to be somebody that is prepared for any disaster on stage.
Yeah.
You know, and some of those bedroom guitar players, like they're great until you throw a wrench in it. And then there's like, I don't know what to do. That it's like people in my business, like that use a script. Like once they're off script, they don't know where to go.
Exactly. And I've seen it. I've done interviews over the years, and some people are like, you know, are you live? Or, you know, they literally are like, how did the band get together?
Right.
Oh, okay.
Or how'd you get your band name?
Yeah. So same with guitar players, and these guys, I'm sure if you were in the guy's bedroom and he's playing and you said, okay, well now play something else. play a solo from whatever, and he'd lock up. He'd be like, well, I don't really do that. I can play this, and I can play, and he'd play you another solo off the Alcatrazz record or something. But yeah, they just they don't get it.
I even watch people that play on stage, and you can tell who's really the great musicians because they're not even looking at their guitar most of the time, or they're not looking at the drums or whatever they're playing. And then you see other ones that they're looking to make sure every note is perfect. But you know what? What I found out in thousands of shows I've been over the years, some of the best shows are when it wasn't perfect.
Well, yeah, and we don't worry about that. I mean, Joe Stump is like Steve was when he auditioned. Joe is a real aggressive player, and Joe's a professor at Berkeley. Can he play the notes perfect? Of course he can, but that's not the point. Live, it's all about the energy and the and again, he was ripping the strings off the guitar. He's so aggressive, and I love that. And he's a great guy. But yeah, on stage, he's not thinking about anything. He's just,
he's just kind of like in the zone.
Yes. And the same with me. I don't think about what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing, and I just kind of play, and I just have fun, basically.
Exactly. And listen, if you're not having fun in this industry, it's the wrong industry. I'll tell you right now.
Yeah, you don't get rich. That's for sure.
No, especially nowadays. Like these poor artists are starting now opposed to back in the 70s, 80s. Oh my God. Like, it must be so difficult. There is no such thing as the quote unquote rock star anymore.
No, it's pretty, it's changed drastically. I mean, there's Metallica. And my God, look how many records those guys had to make and how many tours they did before they got to be Metallica. Same with Iron Maiden. But like I said, there's Iron Maiden and Metallica, and then there's all the rest of us.
I was at Metallica's first show ever.
You're kidding.
No, and Slayer's first show ever.
God. Wow.
Yeah, it was wild. I mean, like, my dad moved me to LA. I was from Jersey, and my dad moved me to LA in 1980. Can you imagine of that being the time to move to LA?
Well, I moved there shortly after that.
Right. So, and listen, I think bands like you and some new upcoming bands are bringing back musicianship. Like, I think we lost that for a while.
Oh, definitely.
You didn't have those shredder guitar players. You just had people going through the motions. I find some of the metal nowadays is like a formula, like an algebraic equation. And, metal and rock was never that. No.
There's a lot of bands that play like that. That's their goal, is to be technically, better than the next band, technically.
Right.
I have never cared about that. And I admire the keyboard players that can play like that. I'm very impressive, but that's never been me. And I'm more worried about or concerned about writing songs and making the band run.
Yeah. Well, you've pretty much done every job in the band since the beginning, right? Which is rare.
Well, yeah. I mean, I got in this thing writing songs where I would program drums just for the writing, but I'd work hard on the drum program because I would really stress out over the feel. I didn't care about the sound or anything because it was just a computer, but I would stress out over the parts. Is that kick drum pattern right? Or, should there be fills here or whatever? Didn't matter what kind of fills, just should it be broken up here or whatever. And I found the drummers playing about 90% of what I programmed. And I even said to the last drummer we had, I said, you don't need to play that. You just play what you feel.
Right.
And he was stuck to that.
Yeah.
He played
the script
I programmed, and I didn't know whether to be flattered or bummed out. I wanted him to be him and just wail, have fun.
And that's cool about musicians that play in a bunch of different bands, because I always have respect when you're playing a bunch of different bands, because to be able to know all those songs, or, you're talking about drummers like Dave Lombardo, like he plays in what, 6 different bands. Like, and I'm like, how the hell does he do that? And I always knew he was good, but to me, that's amazing, because that means you're not on a script. You are playing by feel.
Yeah. I mean, I tour with Warlord, and that's a difficult gig musically. It sounds simple, but the arrangements are really way different. Bill, who wrote all that stuff, you're real quirky. And so you have to memorize it. You can't, it's not like learning Foreigner songs that you know where the chorus is. The chorus is, you can feel it. And you'd heard them 10,000 times. So I could play in Foreigner kind of thing. That wouldn't be a difficult gig. But the Warlord thing was tough, but it was such great exercise, so different from Alcatrazz.
Right.
And I just did the A to Z record, and that same thing. That was a whole different thing from Warlord or Alcatrazz. But I had to stretch to do that. And I love that, I love to.
So let's talk about the reworking of the 80s songs in the upcoming new album. Tell us why people should listen to the songs now compared to back then.
Well, mainly we have a new singer. Giles is a new singer, and really brings it on these songs. I mean, he nails them. He sings them like they're supposed to be sung. He was a fan of Graham's. He loved Graham and loved his vocal. So Giles is true to the melodies and the feel of the song. And we played them on this record. We did them exactly like they were meant to be done, People should listen to it, though, because it's a really current version of Alcatrazz. It's the latest. I mean, it's really up to date. Giles is nailing the stuff, and we do more stuff off No Parole than we've ever done. So I really feel good about what the recordings on this record. I think we did a good job, and Giles certainly did a great job representing it, because we were honest with each other, and we'd start to do a song, and a lot of those songs Giles had sung at sound checks before. Right. Then he joined the band, and we had no recordings. We just toured. So we did 100 shows with Giles before we ever recorded this record.
Nice.
So he had sung Jet the Jet 100 times or 200 times, between sound checks and having sung it in the Graham Bonnet Band at sound checks and stuff. So Jet the Jet for him was a no-brainer. Hiroshima, no-brainer. All those songs for him are easy. So he has fun with them, and he hits the notes every night. Very consistent. So I think what people will find is, especially if they come see us live, it's a real consistent band. I mean, I like to say we sound good every night. It's real consistent. The energy's there every night.
That's key to me. And to me, it's key that if you are a live band that can capture the audience, that goes well beyond the studio album,
Yeah, and I kind of base everything. I work backwards. I base everything off live. And then when I'm making records, I think, what would this be like live? Oh, would these parts enhance the song so it would be good live? And some songs we do, I know we'll probably never play them live, but I still think like, okay, would this work live?
Yeah.
And we can only play 16, 17 songs, whatever. So, going in, you can't, when you got 5, 6, 7 albums worth of stuff, you can't possibly, play them all. And we try to do the bulk of the set is off No Parole. So, and that's what people want. And we love playing it. But I always think of live. I just think, like I said, when I'm writing, when I'm playing parts, I just think, well, would this work live? How's this going to be live? You know,
That's a great way to go about it, I think, you know,
I think.
because I think it makes it easier to have it sound good either way.
Yeah, and I don't I try not to play like do, you know, 4 tracks of things. So can I play this live? I got 2 hands. So, and in the band New England that we had, you know, I got the first album, I got carried away. I was having fun. I was doing mellotron parts and piano parts and organ parts and whatever. And then we started rehearsing and I'm like, whoa. Do I do that? It was hard trying to get that to sound like the record because too damn many overdubs. So, you know, for the last several records, I've tried to keep it simpler, much simpler, so that I can play it live, just like the record.
And I love that because there's so many bands nowadays that can't do a live show unless they have their backing tracks.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And I want musicians up there, not backing tracks.
No, I've never done the backing tracks. We did them with Graham for vocals, but musically, I've never done that. No.
Well, there you go. And I've listened to the 2025, 2026 version of Jet to Jet, and it's like Alcatrazz 2.0. Like it gives me the feeling from back in the 80s that I'm nostalgic about, but it also gives me the energy of today. Well,
and that was the idea. And you just nailed it right there. You're supposed to, certainly it's reminiscent. It's that song. We didn't change anything. But it sounds, and I don't know where that comes from. That's something that you can't put your finger on, but it does. When we got done with the stuff, I listened to it and I went, wow, this sounds new. This doesn't sound like, oh, these tired old songs, we're beating them to death. It didn't come off like that. So, and playing it again was fun. I got into it. I mean, I was having a blast playing that stuff.
Yeah, I love hearing that because I think to myself, man, some of the songs that bands have to play for like 30, 40 years, I would be like, oh my God, I don't want to play this song again.
Yeah. Our own stuff, I don't mind. I love playing it because people dig it.
Yeah.
What I didn't like was in the Graham Bonnet Band, we had to play songs like Night Games and Since You've Been Gone, good songs, but somebody else wrote them. They had nothing to do with Alcatrazz, really. They were songs that Graham had success with. He didn't write them, but he had success with them. Rainbow or whatever. And yeah, if I had to play Since You've Been Gone one more time, I was going to shoot something. I didn't hate the song. Like I said, it was a good song. It's just, it wasn't Alcatrazz.
Right.
Okay, we got to play this ABBA song. You know, we have to play it because whatever. Yeah, but we're Alcatrazz. Well, you got to play the ABBA song, you know. So Since You've Been Gone was coming off. I was starting to get a bad attitude about it, you know.
I don't blame you, though. I mean, like,
just didn't like it. I felt like we were being like a cover band, you know, but because Graham vocally, well, he couldn't really sing the stuff. And then at some point it was all tracks. So at that point, it didn't really matter, but we kept doing Since You've Been Gone. And, yeah, so now I'm so thankful that this band, we don't have to do that kind of stuff. I mean,
yeah, now you can be excited to go on your European tour that's coming up, which that's cool because like I do coverage at festivals all over the US, UK, Europe. And what I found out once I started doing festivals in Europe is like a lot of bands that I loved in the 80s that I thought were gone haven't been gone all this time. They were just in Europe because the crowds just love that music. Like it never gets old.
Yeah, we toured over there for years, and we played like a little club in Germany. And the first time we played this one particular club, and I don't remember what town it was in, but I just thought, wow, this is going to be rough. Really small stage, and you know, I thought it was awful small, and I just thought, gosh, what's this? One of the best gigs we ever played. People they're just so into the music. and they were right up in our face. So it was great. So Germany's always like that. Well, Europe in general. I mean, Holland, Belgium, they're all.
And they all love it, and they don't complain.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, over here I do festivals and people are complaining about the dumbest stuff, and I don't see any complaints when I do festivals over there because people just love the music, love the vibe, love the live show, and they're not concerned about all the stupid crap that people complain about.
I just noticed Warlord just played a festival in Italy. Oh, we opened for Judas Priest.
Nice.
And and I went out to watch Judas Priest, and what I noticed is the crowd totally into it. There's no fashion in the United States. When you're at a festival or a big gig and you watch, the girls are all really worried about how they look and their clothes and posing. You know, you don't even really into the band or not. They're just there for the scene.
Yeah.
And guys as well, and everybody's, it's a poser kind of thing. And over there, not at all. These people were just there to rock. And there was a lot of attractive people there, women, men, whatever. But they weren't, you could tell, they were not there posing for each other. You know, they were there for the music.
Totally. I just got back from Bloodstock in the UK, and it's like, what amazes me is there were sets at 10:30 in the morning, and people were there in huge crowds, not a few people, huge crowds, and not even for big bands. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
And like, as you know, those festivals over there, they go on a lot later too. So guaranteed these people didn't get any sleep.
Right.
But they're out there supporting, and
oh
I
yeah,
think that's way cool.
Oh, it's great. And the first time I played over there and did some festivals, I walk on stage and I was shocked. I was like, we weren't the headliner in some of these festivals, and there'd be like 3, 4, 10,000 people. And I'm thinking, oh, well, they're, you know, we don't have a hit or anything, and we're not Metallica or whatever. And the people were just all over it. They loved it. And I was, wow, they just like the music. They appreciated the music. If you're good, you're good. And they like that. So, yeah, I love playing over there. I mean, England, all over Europe, England, whatever. It's great.
It's amazing.
And like I said, we did about 60 shows here in the States. And there were some really good gigs and really cool people. But there was a lot of real duds where there weren't that many people at the shows, and the people that were there were half asleep. You know,
that amazes me.
Why did you even bother to pay to get in? You know,
right? I don't get it. Or like a band drops off a festival that there's like 60 bands at the festival, and they're like, "Oh man, I was only going to see that band. That sucks now." And it's like, dude, then why are you going to a festival? Then go to their concert. Like, festival is about finding new music and the atmosphere and enjoying all of it.
Right, because that's how I discovered bands as a kid going to shows, and the opening band I'd never heard of them before, and like, oh my God, they were amazing. And people tell me that about the band New England. They didn't know who New England was, and we had a hit on radio kind of, and, you know, we were opening for Kiss or Styx or whoever, and a lot of people came to me after that and said, oh my God, you guys were amazing. I never heard of you. You know, I'm going to buy your album like now. I got it. It's great.
I love it.
And and I love when that happens.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, you got the new album coming out in 2026, and I think everybody needs to check it out and get it. And not only does it have some redone 80s songs, but a few new ones too. So that's cool.
We did with Doogie. And that was no offense to Doogie. We just wanted to do newer stuff off our most recent records for Giles, so that people could see what Giles could do on record. And it's been great. Like I said, I love the music, so it was fun doing all that. Replaying a lot of that stuff was really fun.
Well, I love hearing that after what you've been doing this for like 42, 43 years. Like, so that you still feel that way. That's what I love, because that says that you really have the passion for it.
People say to me, go, "Oh man, aren't you getting too old for this? I mean, you like this?" And that to me is like ridiculous. It's like,
right?
You like breathing? How about air? Do you like air? Do you like breathing? Do you like water? I mean, I don't know. This is what I've always done since I was 15 or 14, whatever. And I loved it then, and I love it now.
Once a rocker, always a rocker.
I guess. I don't think about it. I just kind of, this is what I love doing.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was saying for years when Sharon was trying to get Ozzy to retire, I'm like, if he retires, he's probably going to pass away.
Oh, yeah.
And sure. Look at what happened. He did that last show.
Yeah.
And that was it. Like, because he knew it was the end. I don't think he could live without going on stage. No.
And I think it gets that way. I would go out of my mind.
Right?
I would, I don't know. That's a scary thought. I don't know what the hell I would do.
It's a certain mentality. You know, it's like, I have my youngest daughter. She'll go to some festivals with me, and halfway through first day, she's like, "Dad, I don't know how you do this every weekend. I'm done already." And I'm like, "I don't know how I wouldn't do it every weekend."
Well, that's when you gotta. That's what I think, and I tell people I've produced some bands, nobody famous, and you'll hear these guys talk about, well, I gotta work, so we can only rehearse one day a week. I said, well, you're never gonna do anything rehearsing one day. It's not gonna happen. Well, I really like this. And I said, well, it's got to be something you can't live without.
Totally.
If you feel that you can do other things and it's okay and do music as a hobby, I said, this isn't for you.
No, you're right. And you brought up Metallica in the beginning of the interview. Like, listen, those guys starved for 10 to 20 years, sleeping on floors and eating bologna sandwiches with no bread. You know, that's why they're Metallica now.
Yeah, and that's what you have to do. And those guys are the poster band for that. I mean, talk about paying your dues.
Oh,
wow. I mean, and they were fortunate that they had enough success in the beginning to float that boat, to keep them out there.
Yeah.
And some bands don't. Some bands have to put out 3 or 4 records before they do anything.
Yeah. Totally.
Metallica didn't have to do that because it was great stuff to begin with. And the band had a vibe. I love Metallica and I love the early records. So you got to you can't think about this. You just either you want to do it or you don't. If you don't feel it, and that's how I tell younger musicians, I said, guys, you have to, they go, well, I want to make a lot of money. I said, forget the money.
Yeah.
Money. You get in this because you can't live without it. And and you're really in and you're doing your thing. Then you think about, okay, be smart. And how can I make a living at this? But don't get in it. You can't get in it for money. That's insane. I mean,
no, totally. And I think the only way to make money in it is if you have that serious passion that there's nothing else you're going to do.
That's it. Because that's what the fans want. They don't want some businessman that's counting the tickets at the door from the stage. I mean,
totally.
And and we toured with Kiss, and I know those guys pretty well. And people used to think Gene Simmons was more of a businessman than a musician. And I'm telling you, Gene is a great bass player, and more than he would probably admit. But I hung out with them a lot, and Gene a lot, and Gene's a really good musician. And it's not about didn't go to Juilliard or Berkeley, but Gene's a businessman for sure, but at the heart of it, he can get on stage and play the shit out of the bass.
And love it. Like if he was just a businessman, Kiss would have been gone a long time ago because they didn't need any more money.
No. And Paul, the same thing. Paul wasn't trying to be a rock star guitar player. Paul was just trying to be the lead singer, songwriter, rhythm guitar player in the band. But again, he kills it on stage. I stood on stage and watched those guys night after night, and They were so consistent and so good at what they do. So, again, committed. People used to accuse Kiss of, oh, they're just business. They just put on the makeup and they're faking it. They're not. Yeah, they makeup. That's their thing. So what? But they ain't faking it.
Not at all.
It was real.
Well, you guys aren't faking it either. Everybody needs to check out the new album when it drops. At least go check out Jet to Jet now because it's badass. And for any of my listeners over there in Europe, check out the tour dates and catch Alcatrazz live because that's an experience you don't want to miss.
No, that'd be great.
Well, thank you for giving us great music for all these decades, and thanks for being on the Adventures of Pipe Man.
Well, thank you, and I'm happy to be here, and thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to the Adventures of Pipe Man on W4CY Radio.